Shalom. Call halal Yahweh Bashem Shai by Hashem Rakar Double honors unto the apostles and the elders. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so. To the scattered, hopefully elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, that be among the heathen nations, that be like unto the speckled bird, and to the Akwaf that are listening and learning. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago. And this footage that I'm about to use, disclaimer. All right, the disclaimer is that I don't own this footage. I'm not profiting from this footage. It's being used for educational and informational purposes only. All right, so before I play, and it's only going to play maybe about 30 seconds of it anyway, or maybe even less than that. But I watched a video clip that a brother put up from The Simpsons showing you the coronavirus was predicted on The Simpsons. All right, and the image that you're seeing is of a character whose name is in this particular series. His name was Major. All right, he was a police officer, and in the city of Atlanta, there was they called it a cordon. I forget what they call it, a cordon something, well, eventually it just means containment. They used a Latin or a Spanish word, whatever it was, all right? And they ended up blocking off, I forget how much of the city, but 4,000 people were trapped in the middle of Atlanta because of a disease that came from the so-called Middle East, and it was bioterrorism or whatever. But people are dying from it, and the authorities are lying to the people. And just go to show you how we always talk about how they control the narrative, and it's kind of, and what they do in this video is the same thing they do to the truth, because there's a man who has inside connections inside the zone, two lesbian chicks who are giving him footage of what's really happening inside, as the media and the news on the outside are fabricating stories to the public, but the real information is coming from the inside, just like the real information comes from the men of the Lord. So let's just read a quick scripture. This is 2 Corinthians 2:11, and it says, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. So we're not ignorant of the devices that are used with Satan. And Satan is a man here on earth. He has a fleshly counterpart, which are in control of the earth. All right? That's why when you get to Isaiah, the 14th chapter, when it's referring to Lucifer, to Satan, it says, is this the man that did rule kingdoms and shake kingdoms? And, and that's in the 14th chapter. All right? But what happens here in this scene, and I'm going to play it without sound, is that the power goes dead because the authorities get tired of the truth coming out. So the same thing's going to happen to the internet, and the same thing's going to happen to YouTube. They're going to pull the plug on this truth, and then you people are going to be looking for the prophets, and the prophets aren't going to be found for you. That famine of the word is coming. It's like these viruses and these plagues are upon you. The famine of the word is coming, and along with famine of the word is famine of food, because inside of this zone where these people are cut off, there's lawlessness, low food supplies, and they get no help. See, everybody's in shock. Power just went dead. No cell phones, no power, no connections. Nobody knows what's going on. But the doctor on the inside gets a direct call. And it's from this woman. Once again, they've put a woman in charge. All right. So she put everyone in the dark so that they can control the narrative. And there it is. This is 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, starting at the 11th verse. And it reads, "But I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof. Egypt shall mourn, and the foundations of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that God shall bring upon it. And they that till the ground shall mourn, for their seed shall fail through the blasting of hell and with a fearful constellation. Woe to the world and them that dwell in it, for a sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another with swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, and they shall not regard their kings nor their princes. And a man shall and in Salakia, nor their princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power." Here's the key point. "And a man shall desire to go into a city, and shall not be able. For because of their pride the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for the great tribulation." And that's exactly what was going on in this show. All right? You weren't able to leave the city. You got a whole city of 11 million people, a whole area cordoned off right now. All right? And over there in China. And believe me, that's going to grow, because when this thing hit here in America, it hit. They announced that it was in Washington State yesterday, and I said yesterday that if it's in Washington State, then it's everywhere else. And barely the next morning, you got cases in Texas, Wisconsin, Chicago, and if it's in Texas, Wisconsin, and Chicago, guess where? It's in New York. So it's here, man. So just expect things to get worse and worse as this year goes on, and we're not even out of the first month, you know. And look how much has happened. And the prophets have been telling you, man. All right, and you know what? And I can't wait till it all just falls apart, because it's going to be the biggest I told you so in the history of I told you so's. Call Halal Yahweh Bashem Abishai Bashem Wakak Wadash Wa Abba Babal Shalom.